Hello, gorgeouses. Happy Friday. We are here on the morning show for a live Q&A. How are you feeling? I feel good. However, you know what? This might be really helpful for some of you because when I found this out, I was amazed and also like, "Oh my god, thank you." So, for those of you who don't know, and I don't think many of my followers actually do know. I don't think many people know. So, I have a gluten allergy or sensitivity. It's not celiac, but I discovered it when I was in my young 20s, 20, like 22, 23, somewhere in there. And I figured out that I have such a sensitivity to gluten that every time that I would eat, my stomach would hurt. I'd be super bloated, really uncomfortable. And I was like that my whole life, thinking it was just what was, and then come to find out I have a gluten allergy. So I found this out, changed my life, obviously cut out gluten. It's been 15 years now. But I found out not that long ago, just a couple of years ago, that red wine or any wine with heavy sulfates will affect a person with gluten sensitivity in the same way. Like it's heavy. And so anytime that I have wine that has sulfites in it, it feel like one glass of wine will end up feeling like a bottle the next day. Like, it feels like a hangover. It's just, like, heavy, headache, stomach, all the things. So, anyway, we went out to eat last night. I had a glass of wine. Well, 2 glasses of wine, and it was not the best wine, heavy in the sulfates. Woke up last night, started getting a headache, woke up this morning and was like, "Oh my." So, I'm recovering is what I feel like today. Just a little insight into my life. Okay, so today we're doing live Q&A, my favorite day of the week. We have a question queued up, and we have some stuff going on in the cosmos that I want to share with you guys because it really spoke to me. And so I know, you guys are always kind of tracking with me where I am. If it spoke to me, it's probably going to speak to you. So, what I have found out is that Venus is now entering Gemini, and it is completing a 4-year cycle. Okay. Now, I don't know exactly all the details, but I'm just going to tell you what resonated with me. Okay. Venus initiated a 4-year cycle, or a cycle 4 years ago, all around the themes of healing our self worth, shifting our values, shifting the way that we perceive material things. Venus has been doing this cycle on us of increasing the way we feel about ourselves, increasing those feelings of self worth, healing the not enough stuff, healing the material things, healing the way you view money, all of this stuff over the last 4 years. And so now it's re entering that exact same spot where it initiated this cycle before, and it is completing this 4-year cycle. So think back on your last 4 years. Has it been riddled with lessons around self worth, what you value, your money, your material possessions, how you see things, how you see yourself? Here we are, clarity for all of us in the world. So that's happening right now. And I feel like that's very, very exciting. Now, granted, I need more details in terms of like why it's a 4-year cycle. I was listening to my astrologer. She said it, but I missed it. The point is, we're completing a cycle around healing our self worth. And I am so here for that. Amen. Ah! So we're diving into Q&A today. As always, if you have a question, pop up along the way. We will answer as many questions as we can while we're on. So what do you want to talk about? Put it in the chat, put it in the comments below. And we have a submission for an anonymous question into marleyansel.com/the morning show, my beautiful new question submission page that we have just for the morning show, which, by the way, you can submit questions to that site anytime. We do Q&A on Friday, but you can submit it any day of the week, anytime that you have something that pops in your head and you want to dive into it. Even if we don't get to your question, say like today, We will have it lined up for next week. So you can ask your questions anytime you want. And I do ask for forgiveness because this brain of mine is like, we're processing slow today. Okay, we're processing slow. Okay, let's dive into our question. I'm so excited. I'm so excited that my question submission website is working so beautifully. Okay. So the question for today is how to deepen into self-belief more than ever. What a question, especially when it comes to starting over in your business. I haven't posted or promoted anything in a long time and I'm feeling a little lost. Oh, this is such a good question. Oh my gosh. Okay. I love this. I love, love, love this. Hi, Amber. Good morning. So, deepening self belief is huge. Okay. I want to work this question backwards because how to deepen your self belief more than ever is a lifelong journey that is so worth going on. Okay. Because the opposite of that is spending your entire life trying to achieve outside of you, trying to prove your worthiness and trying to get external validation. It is never ending. It will never happen. Because when we seek to have that level of self, through external validation, we are constantly chasing. It's completely exhausting and it will burn out your nervous system. It is not the way. Obviously, we can see that, right? But how many of us end up doing that? How many of us end up constantly seeking that external approval, constantly looking for our achievements to validate our worth, constantly, chasing the next accolade or the next dollar amount or the next promotion or whatever it is to validate our belief in ourselves? It will exhaust you. And it's not the way. So, in deepening your self belief more than ever, in my opinion, there has to be a foundational belief system around what you believe to be true about how this whole life game works. This is how it plays out for me. You got to know in you what you believe this journey of life is about. Do you feel me on this? Because we are inundated all the time of like what it's supposed to be and who you're supposed to be and blah 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 and all of that stuff. And all of that noise from the outside world can have you completely compromising yourself, distorting yourself, trying to be this for that person, trying to be this for that person. So we have to first establish, what do you believe your life journey is about? And I know that's a big question, but these are the kind of questions that you have to ask so that you can have that North Star. You can have that compass of like, you know who you are and you know where you're going. So, what is life for you? Like, for you. What do you feel your purpose is? What do you feel you're called to? What do you feel is important? What do you feel is your value system? Like, really getting clear on those things about what matters to you. Because as you do that, that then becomes like your guiding force. And when you have a guiding force that's based on the internal and not the external, everything starts falling into place so much better. Everything starts becoming more clear. Because as you do that, you're no longer distorting and compromising who you actually are, your authenticity, in order to fit into what's around you. You are then the one deciding, this is my path, this is how it will go for me. And that's you tapping into your personal power. That's you really connecting to that higher part of you and not needing the validation of anything outside of you. Now, the great irony of this is when you do that, you will see validation everywhere because it's just how it is. It's like, when do you, an example, if you need everyone to like you, if you need everyone to approve of you, how how is your behavior coming off? What's your energy? If I need everyone, do you like me? Did you approve of that? Was that good? Did you like that? Like, what is your energy when you're in that? It's needy, it's graspy, it's a repellent. People are like, oh my God, stop, get away, right? But the moment that you don't need external approval, the moment you don't need validation, because you're walking in alignment with your own values, you're walking in alignment with your assignment from God, then you're not looking for anyone's approval because it's just about you, your higher self, your higher power. And it's like, if I'm good with me, my higher self, and my higher power, I'm good. And I don't need approval. I don't need the validation. I don't need anything outside of here. Now, what kind of energy is that? Oof, oof, that's attractive, isn't it? It's like, oh my gosh, that she is just so calm and grounded in who she is. Oh my, she just seems so cool and confident. Like, it's so magnetic. So we see like the great irony of not needing the thing that we think we need in order to feel good about ourselves is actually what brings us into alignment with our higher self and feeling good about ourselves. So that's how you start building that level, that foundation first. And then from there, self-belief comes when you choose to do something and you follow through on it. You choose to do something and you say, you know what, I am going to take a chance on me. And you start to trust yourself to follow through on you. And that starts in little stuff. Do you know what you see what I'm saying? Don't try to take on the Taj Mahal here. Like don't take on this huge thing and then falter because it's way too big and then you're like, "Well, I don't believe in myself anymore." It's like start little, you know what I mean? Like start with like getting out of bed on the first snooze and not the third one. See what I'm saying? Like, start with these little things because it's those little millimeter things that end up building that level of trust and belief with you. It's the follow through on you doing what you said you wanted to do, and you didn't need anybody else to hold you accountable. Does that make sense? It's like, I hold me accountable, and I'm going to start with these little things. Okay. So that's the foundation. Now let's get into especially when it comes to starting over in your business. I've not posted or promoted anything in a long time and I'm feeling a little lost. Okay. So this is an anonymous question. I don't know who this is coming from, but I would venture to say that you have probably gone through some sort of big internal change. Some big inner shift has happened where maybe before the way that you were running your business was one way and now it doesn't really resonate with you anymore because you've changed. And so there can be this time period where you're looking back on the business you used to have and you're saying, well, but that really worked or people really like that, and you're trying to get back to what was and you don't have the energy for it. You don't have the energy for it because going back is never supported. Who you were then is not who you are now. And so it's going to feel harder if you try to approach it from that way. When you are moving through a big change and the things that you used to do no longer resonate, the things that you used to light your whole soul, you don't have energy for anymore. That is a sure sign of an evolution that's happened within you. And this is not a bad thing. It's only sufferable if you are attached to the past. So, what we've got to do first is you internally need to detach from that old business, from that old way of doing things, from that old whatever you used to market or promote or post or whatever, the content that you used to make. You've got to detach from it entirely, internally. You don't worry about anybody else at this point. You've got to let it go. And then you've got to get into a clear space, which is like the void. The void is like nothing and everything. I'm no longer attached to the past. I haven't quite yet figured out the future. It's a blank slate. This is a good place. It really is. You just don't want to live here. You know what I mean? You want to like be here for the purpose of what you need when you're here. And then you move forward and you start creating again. But in the void space, it's a blank slate. It's clear. No past, no future. That's it. When you're in a clear space, then you can start to create from a new energy because you're no longer attached to the past, but yet you haven't fully formed where you're going yet. So it's just this in between. In that clear space, you start asking yourself the questions like, what would really light me up? What sounds exciting? What sounds fun? And it might be something that doesn't even make sense at first. You know, you guys have heard me tell the story of like when all I wanted to do was start gardening. Like, what do you want to do in your business, Marley? I don't know. I just want to garden. Like, follow that, even if it seems like it doesn't make sense, because the way that our guidance works for us is it is maneuvering around all kinds of things that we have going on inside of us. It's trying to maneuver around our limiting beliefs. It's trying to maneuver around our energetic blocks, trying to maneuver around our past trauma. Like it's trying everything it can to get you to the place where you need to be. And so following the things that doesn't make sense oftentimes ends you up exactly where you need to be. And it's going to give you some level of clarity about where you're going. And it's going to show you a new part of yourself that's going to ignite a new level of excitement. That's then going to put you in a totally different place than you ever were before. And you never could have planned or predicted it because it's the unknown, it's the new level. Does that make sense? So, in this question, what I can feel in the energy of it is that there's an anxiousness around the business. There's a like, but I feel like I need to be doing this. I feel like I need to put something out. I feel like, and then, what if I want to do something entirely different? Then what is my audience going to think? Do you see what I'm saying? There's some ego scarcity in there. First and foremost, never hold yourself back from reinventing everything about yourself if the chapter you're in calls for that. Never hold that back. Entirely reinvent yourself if the chapter, the era of life that you're in is calling for you to reinvent yourself. Don't worry about anybody else. Don't worry about your audience. Don't worry about your family. Don't worry about your friends. Don't worry about like what people are going to think that you've changed because one, if you do not go with the evolution that life is asking you to do, life's going to get really hard. It's going to get really, really hard because when we don't evolve, life starts closing in on us. And then it starts like creating struggle and suffering and struggle and suffering. And the concept behind it is that it's trying to push you into that evolution. So if we can voluntarily evolve, life's going to go a whole lot smoother. But also, if you feel called to completely change everything about yourself, oh my God, do it. Do it. One of the phrases I've always said is do not be so loyal to your past that you dishonor your future. The past is done, it's over. You have the full freedom to change every little thing about you right here, right now, in this second, if you should so choose. And people around you will adapt. And they will adapt faster than you really believe that they will. Like, think about it like this. Like, have you ever gotten your hair cut? So you like I have this habit where I've had my hair short for a long time, but now I'm growing it out. I'll grow my hair out and then I'll just whack it off, like just cut it short. For me, no big deal. I don't think anything of it. But if you ever got a haircut like that, and then you go like around your friends, around your coworkers the next day, and everyone's like, oh my God, your hair. They like entirely freak out, right? How long do they spend freaking out? Maybe a day, maybe 2 days. And then you're just Marley with the short hair. People adapt really, really quickly. When you make a wholehearted decision about your pivot or about where you want to go or about starting over or about starting new, when you make that decision with all of you, mind, body, and soul, you line it up and you're all in for it, people don't question it. They might spend a day being like, whoa, like she's doing this thing that's totally different. And then they just adapt. Then they're just with you, especially if all of your energy is on board with it. So when you make these kind of moves, you do it with all of you. Do it with all of you and watch the world just come right along with you. Watch the world adapt to whatever you're doing. Like in terms of social media, and I'm thinking that this is definitely related to social media or coaching business or something along those lines. If you have historically taught or coached on one niche, but you really want to start doing a different niche and you've been off grid for a few months, whatever, haven't posted anything, there's this thought that like you need to explain yourself. You don't. You don't. You can pop right back onto social media and post in your brand new vibe and your brand new subject and your brand new business like you've been there for the last 5 years and just go strong. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to say, I know I've been MIA for a while, guys. Here's what's been, you don't have to do that. You can if you want to, but it's not required. And I'm going to give you like a really big secret. People don't care. They do not care. We think people care. We think people are just judging the bejesus out of us. Like they don't care. They don't care. What people care about, especially when it comes to you running a business and a service, all they care about is what you're doing going to help me? That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Is what the service that you offer going to solve the problem I'm experiencing right now? That's it. That's all people care about. They might like you, they might vibe with you, they might be like, "Oh, I love her message," or "I love her pictures," or "I'm just here to watch her life," or whatever. Like, people will have they'll be there for whatever reason that they're there. But nobody is watching you to judge you or to think about you more than they think about themselves. People are thinking about themselves all the time. And especially when it comes to running a business, and I'll tell you this, I had to learn this the hard way. You have to separate your personal self from your business, even if you have a personal brand. Like my brand is very personal. You guys see my stories, you watch my life, you know my kids, you know my husband, you know my thoughts, you know a lot of stuff. And you see about 1% of our life. You're not living with me. You know what I mean? Like your personal being as a human and your business are two totally separate things, even if you have a personal brand. So you have to do that. I call, the phrase separation of church and state. In my mind, I say separation of business and state. There's me, there's who I am, there's what I love, there's what I go through, there's my healing, there's my triumphs, there's my challenges, there's my everyday. That's me. And I will choose to share what I feel is valuable for my audience, for my clients, for the service that I do. I will share what I feel is valuable. I don't share everything. I share what I feel is valuable. And that is me sharing through the business because the business is here to serve and help and teach and coach clients. Does this make sense? So you've got to separate your personal healing from your business. You're always going to be healing through something. This is just the vibe I'm getting from the question. You're healing through something, and that's okay. We're always healing. Everyone is always healing through something. There's always something happening. You heal one layer, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, there's something else. Like it's just how it is. You're always healing through something. That's okay. Your business is separate from you. There's your business, that's your service. What do you do? What do you help people with? What does your business solve? What does it do for people? You need to know that. Be clear, clear, clear on that. And then there's your personal life. And there's you. And there's what you're moving through. And there's what you're going through. And you do not need to share every ounce of what you're moving through and what you're going through and how you're living just because you run an online business. There's the business, and then there's you. Separation of business and state. And pivot, start over, start brand new, and make it an adventure. Make it so fun. Like, act like the past was literally a different life. And now you've been rebirthed into a new chapter, and you're going to start brand new and you're going to do it your way. Disconnect any thoughts of opinions you feel that people have. All of those opinions that you feel people have are your own made up peanut gallery that's in your mind. It's not even real. We got to be aware of that. Take it all away. Start brand new. Decide, who do you want to be? What do you want to do? Who do you want to help? And what do you want it to look like? And go. That is your right. That is your right to pivot, change, start over as many times as you need to so that you can do what you feel you're called to do and be happy doing it. That's your right. You owe nothing to anyone, not even an explanation. Amen and hallelujahs. Great question. Great, great question. Oh, all right, my loves. Well, I only had one question lined up because we typically we're chatty here on the morning show. So if anything came up for you while I was talking, drop it in the comments below. And I'll say this last piece before we wrap it up. When you start answering that call that says, I want to do more, I want to be more, I want to be happy. When you start answering that call, when you no longer are willing to compromise your joy, you're no longer willing to compromise or settle in life anymore, and you start answering that call, walking that path that leads to your highest potential, that leads to more, that leads to the life that you really, truly want to live, it is going to take you through healing. You're going to go through healing because there's a reason that you have held yourself back from walking that path. And when you get to the point where you are saying, I am done, I don't care. I don't care if it's scary. I don't care if it's hard. I'm done. I want to go towards joy. I want to go towards the life that I want to live. When you start to do that, you're going to walk through the healing that is required for you to let go of all the conditions and the attachments and the past limiting belief systems that had held you back thus far. This is not a bad thing, but in that time period, it's going to feel a little tough, and that's okay. You've got to be good with that because it's that healing work that allows you to rise to a new level of consciousness, that allows you to rise to a new vibration where that life that you want to live is. So we talk about it all the time. We think about it like floors in a building. If the life you want to live is here, and you've been existing here because you've been attached to all the things that are down here on this floor, you're afraid to leave the familiar floor and go to where the life is. Once you start doing that, you're going to face those fears. You're going to face letting go of attachments to things that you thought were what you had to be, or who you thought you had to be, or what you thought you needed in order to feel safe, secure, all the things. You're going to go through that level of letting those things go. And the more that you let go, and the more that you come into trust and self belief and connection to the truth of who you actually are, and then boom, you arrive at the level where that beautiful life that you feel in your body and you can see in your mind, the vision of who you've always wanted to be, the life that you've always wanted to live, lives. Boom. And this is why we do the healing work. Because without the healing work, you just loop here. You're in your attachments, you're in your trauma, you're in your conditions, you're in your limits, you're in that box. The healing work frees you to be able to ascend to that level of consciousness where you can live in that freedom, live in that joy, live in that flow. And that's everything. Like, that's why we do this work. Because without it, you just stay stuck. With it, you start to experience that life of magic and miracles, which is what we're here for. All right, my loves, I love you so much. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. We're here Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the morning show. Next Friday, we will not be here. My oldest, Willa, is graduating elementary school. So we will be at her graduation at 10 o'clock in the morning. So maybe we'll do a Q&A next Wednesday. Actually, that sounds great. We'll do a Q&A next Wednesday. So if you have a question that you would like to send into the show, we talk about it all. We talk about the spiritual and energetic route to heal all things. We talk about business. We talk about parenting. We talk about relationships. We talk about spiritual growth, personal healing, all of it. If you have a question, you can submit your question into marleyansel.com/the morning show, and I will receive it right to my email, and we'll dive into all the juicy questions. All right, my loves, I love you so much. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you on Monday for another episode of The Morning Show. Goodbye, my loves. Bye, guys.